What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk Telecaster. This thing is just Hey guys, just editing here really quick. I am sorry. I don't know what happened with the levels today. Everything seemed fine on the meters. I don't know if something with my microphone or my receiver or whatever. So I apologize. I fixed it as best I could, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. I know there will be the ultimate complainer in the comments, but to those of you that actually care about what we do, I appreciate you listening to it. Anyway, whatever, I'm sorry. I'll do better next time, I promise. I don't know what it is about these things. I absolutely love them. They are one of, to me, the staple best guitars you could have in your collection on any level, from the Squire all the way. This is an American Vintage too, custom shop, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I think you should have a Telecaster in your collection because it's one of the first electric guitars to ever exist, number one. And number two, its simplicity is what makes it so cool. When I first started playing Telecasters, I actually didn't really like them. The reason I didn't like them is because they just felt like a plank with a neck on it, and which is, kind of what they are. But there's just some sort of beauty in that. I don't know. I really like them. Let me know in the comments what you think. You might be totally against this concept, but for those of you who think the way I do about this, that Telecasters are cool, or you've been curious about them, one of the things we want to talk about today is the mods that you should and should not do to this guitar. These are one of the most moddable platforms of all time because it is just a plank with a neck on it, so it's open to a lot of things. But if you want to stay true to the simplicity of what a Telecaster is, I think there's some things you should not do, in my opinion. This is my opinion, but things you could do and should do to make the guitar better, depending on which one you have. So, let's get into it. Before we do that, do me a favor and like and subscribe and do all the things that you do when you watch a YouTube video. If you like guitar stuff, that's what we do just about every day. We make Telecaster parts here at DylanTalksTone. So we make pickups, we make loaded switch gear, all that kind of stuff. And actually, that stuff is on sale this week, 15% off. You don't have to put a discount code in or anything. You just go to DylanTalksTone. You can scan that little thing right there. Go to DylanTalksTone and buy Tele stuff, 15% off this week. Okay, let's talk about some things that we're just going to get straight into. I'm going to show you a couple of things as we go because basically I haven't played this guitar in a while and the strings are dead and I want to change the strings on it. But we're going to talk about a few features as we go. So, first of all, one of the big problems with the Telecaster can be the neck pickup. That it can be super kind of woofy and muddy, especially on like the classic vibe stuff. Actually, and any older Telecaster can kind of lean towards this sort of woofy, sort of like, I don't know, there's just not much clarity to the neck pickup. So that was like one of the things that I really, really wanted to correct when we came out with our set. These are our flat 6 Telecaster pickups, and they're based on like a mid-60s kind of transition Tele that I borrowed from a buddy of mine. And I really, really like them. It makes them super versatile, and it gets rid of that sort of that muddiness. Man, these strings are dead. Just gives it a lot more clarity, and then when you put some drive on it, it maintains all of that like note definition. And sometimes, depending on what model of Telecaster you get, now you might have a Telecaster that the pickups are amazing in it, or you may have already replaced them, and that's totally cool. And I think you'll know that when you feel it. But that's a thing that I really like to upgrade on all of my Telecasters is swapping out that neck pickup. On the bridge pickup side, you can end up with like this kind of ice picky thing that can be a little unpleasant. Ugh, these strings are terrible. But when you put some drive on it, then when you have a good one like this, it's awesome. So, good pickups, super fun. To me, that's a thing you should always do with your Tele. Like I said, the classic vibe things can be a little bit on that kind of muddy side, lacking some of that clarity, and not as versatile. So from anything from, I would say, well, I don't know, if you like that clarity, replace them. It's super fun. Let's go ahead and throw some strings on this thing, and I'm going to show you a couple of things I would not replace. All right, so don't mind this over here. We'll get to that in a minute. But let's talk about this bridge. This Fender bridge is freaking amazing. I absolutely love it. This is the way they were meant to be, in my opinion. Now, a lot of folks would want to replace this bridge for some thicker one. There's that brand on the internet that they like bang it with something and show how it tings more, and therefore there's going to be more tone. Which, come on, man. Like, whatever. To me, if you're going to spend $100 and whatever on a bridge, is it really that big a deal? I don't think so. I've tried them. I've played around with them. They're expensive and fancy, and you can tell everybody that you have one. But other than that, you know, a couple of thousandths thicker on the bridge makes no sense to me at all. Now, a lot of folks might want to change the traditional saddles to compensated saddles. But if you keep your action low and set the guitar up correctly, you can get these to intonate very, very well. I can show you how to do it. If you want me to do a separate video on setting up a Telecaster, we could do that. But this is doable. I know a lot of folks will say, because the internet says, they will just jump on the bandwagon of, I have to replace this to something else, but it can be done. So just, if you want that, let me know. So I personally would not mess around with the bridge. I would leave it simple. It was made to be simple. It was made to be this way, you know, at least in the vintage spec. Now, if you have a modern one with 6 saddles already, then yeah, leave it alone too. However it came, that's the way the guitar was meant to be. Now, the other thing on the other end of the guitar is these tuners, these safety post tuners. A lot of folks will replace these with some other kind of tuner because, you know, they want locking tuners, or because they, I don't know why, to be honest with you. These are amazing tuners. I'm going to put a string on this guitar, and I'm going to show you why these are so cool. All right. So the beauty of the safety post tuner is the reason they call it a safety post, because you never poke yourself. So here is, this string is going to go here. So what I do is I go about a tuner and a half past it, clip the string off, stuff it in the hole, and wind it on. And it gives you basically the proper amount of winds to go around, and it doesn't slip. It doesn't poke you. So we'll go right about there, cut it off, shove it in the hole, insert joke here, and we're doing it very quickly. And that's it. And that's why I don't like to upgrade these, because I think these are fantastic tuners because they're fast, they're safe, and they basically give you the same convenient of a locking tuner as far as the speed is concerned when you're putting strings on the guitar, which is really the benefit of locking tuners anyway, is the speed. Tuning stability isn't really such a thing because the tuning stability has more to do with the nut and the rest of the guitar setup than the locking tuner itself. So we're just getting speed with a locking tuner. These are lighter. They don't change the balance of the guitar at all, and doesn't cost you anything because they're already on there. All right, now to get the most out of, if you're going to put new pickups on it, or even if it's not a new pickup swap, if you have especially an Asian guitar, some kind of import Tele, a lot of times the switch, now this isn't one, this is an American one, but sometimes the switch will be of very low quality. Sometimes the pots will be of very low quality. Sometimes it's got that little plastic box switch that will fail after a time. And it will just be less than ideal. The other thing is that very inexpensive pots can have a weird taper to them. You know the deal. When you go to turn the volume down and it just acts more like a switch than it does an actual volume pot, then it might be time. You might want to, upgrade the controls in your guitar, or you don't like the feel of the pots, right? So we have these drop-in setups. So basically all you have to do is hook up the pickups to the switch. Everything else is included. And you just drop it in and it basically looks factory, and there you go. This one, speaking of fun, on the fun side of it, you don't have to do this, but it's fun. You can do a couple of different things. We have them available in reverse to where the switch is backwards like this. We have them in normal, obviously. CTS pots, orange drop caps, Oak Grigsby switches. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually going to put a 4-way in this guitar so that we have a series setup, because that's just fun. And I used to have it in here and I took it out, so I'm just going to put that back in. I think it's really cool. So we're going to put that in this guitar, and then we will have, I'll show you. That's pretty neat. And then the other thing that's fun when you're doing these Tele upgrades is you can go and order Tele control plates with, like custom engraving, which is kind of neat. That guy wanted a dragon. This is one of our fun ones that we do for the 4-way. Park, reverse, neutral, drive. He wanted it reverse, so it's going to be park, reverse, neutral, drive, like that, with the knobs up here. So that's kind of fun, just for fun. We also have all these fun, acrylics and various custom colors for doing custom pickup installs, right? Kind of neat. Engraved stuff, paisley, whatever. You can do all kinds of fun stuff. And that won't affect the sound of the guitar, but it'll look neat. And so that's why I'm saying don't waste time on stuff that doesn't really have anything doesn't really do a whole lot for the money you spend, so that you can spend it on stuff that's actually fun. Let me throw this 4-way switch setup in here, and I'll show you what it sounds like, because it's really, really cool. All right, so this is fun. A couple of things we should say when you do any kind of upgrades like this. If you have one of the import guitars with 7mm, the import pots, you might want to get the entire, whether you get it from me or anybody else, it doesn't matter. Just understand that when you get the upgraded pots, you're probably going to need new knobs, because the 7mm shafts don't fit. These are 1/4 inch. So you'll want to get kind of the whole set. Whether you get it from me or somebody else, you can order them on Amazon too, knobs and whatever. And if you want to get your own knobs, 1/4 inch shafts. for the proper CTS pots. And fitment wise, they'll fit in basically any normal Telecaster. The only thing that you should look out for is some of the Squires have like there's like a hump of wood in the middle in here that will make this switch fit a little different. So you might want to Dremel that out. You don't need it. You don't need it in there. It's just the way it was machined. So you just need to know that. But other than that, everything else will fit pretty perfectly. I would just say make sure that if you're going to replace everything, just replace everything. We include the jack. We use pure tone jacks. We include the jack, the cap, the pots, the knobs, the switch tip, the plate, everything. And then we actually have a set on our site too that has the neck pickup, the bridge pickup, and this all in one package deal. So you can do it any way you want, really. But yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. This is really fun. So here's the neck pickup. No change there. We didn't change anything. Now here is the neck bridge series. Here's normal Tele. Back to the other one. And then of course, the bridge. Now where it gets really fun is right here. This almost sounds like a humbucker in a Tele. As opposed to the regular middle position. Super fun. Just gives you a bunch of different dimensions. And then if you'll notice, the volume pot taper is different. And with these pickups, you can clean it up a lot better. So very apparent on the neck pickup. So there's a lot of fun stuff you could do when you have a good pot taper, when you have good pickups, and when you have good switch gear to kind of get it all together. Other mods that a lot of folks do to Telecasters, let me know in the comments what you would do other than this. Personally, I want to stay simple, right? And not every guitar needs this, all right? Not every guitar needs new pickups. Not every guitar needs new switching and stuff. You know, if you have an American Telecaster that's got basically the same switching in it, you probably don't need to replace it. If you want to change how the pickups sound, obviously you do, but a lot of guitars you don't. But if it's something, you know, like an import one or something, a project one that you're putting together, it's fun to experiment, and this four-way thing is so fun. It's just so fun. Anyway, I'll leave it in the link to it in the description. Like I said, all this stuff is 15% off this week at DylanTalksTone. No code required. If you have any questions, get in the chat on the website, and I will help you update your Tele any way you like. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video.